Good afternoon, world. Shalom, I should say.
You
Shalom.
You should. Do we want to allow all kinds of weirdos on here, or is it
Yeah, go for it. I'm not sure how long I can stay. I had a busy morning, but often that means that sometimes I have a relatively quiet afternoon. So
I have an appointment with some clients at 4, so I definitely have to leave
for
then.
California time,
Yeah, so
I
that's-
actually I have something. I have a commitment even before then. I have something
Okay.
in like an hour and a half. I would need to leave unless something takes me away sooner. But here we are.
Here we are, and Sam was just telling me about how excited he is about this new Messiah candidate.
So here's a question. So if someone, hey Chad, or oops, I have to do that button. So from your messiology, Jacob, if
Okay.
someone is the Messiah, how does that relate to the pre-existence of their soul / reincarnation / Holy Spirit anointing?
Okay, so in reincarnation terms, generally we would say that anybody who's a candidate for Messiah is a new soul, because being reincarnated is considered a bad thing in Judaism, although at the same time you would also say that he is a reincarnation of David necessarily. So it's weird.
That doesn't make sense together, but okay, because that was going to be my question. Does he have to be a reincarnation of David, Solomon, etc.? Or
so this is the problem Christians have with the Jewish concept of soul, which is we believe in like a fragmentary nature of the soul, right? So it's not like you have one thing that in Judaism we would call a soul. You actually have several things which you have half of and your wife shares the other half of. And
that's where soulmate idea comes from, right?
Certainly in Judaism.
Yeah, and I would assume it leaked into popular American Western consciousness through that idea, but yeah.
Right. And so there are different parts of your soul which can come from different sources. And so, I mean, to talk about a specific person's soul is very difficult, but like to talk about the soul of the Messiah, the soul of the Messiah would have 5 different levels, and each one would have its source in a slightly different place. And he anyway is
You're making the Neoplatonists sound simplistic.
Well,
so what are the 5 different places that your soul, or well, maybe that's unique to the Messiah.
There's 5 different categories of soul that he would have.
Okay. How does that work?
So one of the ways it's explained is there are 4 categories of creation in Judaism. One is inanimate. The next is growing, which would be plants. The next is animate, right, as in moving, as in animals. The next is speaking, right, which is human, right? So those are considered the 4 categories of creation.
That's very Aristotelian too. Yeah, interesting.
And then there's the 5th type of soul, which it's actually a fragmented soul. It's fragmented into 600,000, and that is
not 144,000. Isn't that a
anyway. No? 600,000, and that is the soul that is referred to as Knesset Israel, which is the gathering of Israel. So that's a level of soul that's only for Jews.
I'm not muting you, Chad. You can unmute yourself. Yeah, Chad can't talk. Chad doesn't want.
I didn't want to cut him off.
Okay.
Oh. What do you want to say?
Nothing.
So all of Israel, all of the people have
Share a soul.
a share in this 600,000th wide distributed super soul.
Yes.
And so does the Messiah, that of course would include the Messiah, but that wouldn't be unique to the Messiah. Does the Messiah have anything else unique above that?
No.
Okay. So then what does he have Messiah means anointed. So what does anointed mean?
I mean, ultimately anointed, all kinds of things are anointed, and there are various types of anointings, right?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
The vessels of the tabernacle are anointed.
Yeah.
Right? Priests are anointed. High priests are anointed.
Yeah.
Kings are anointed. Prophets are anointed. So there's all kinds of various anointings. Yeah.
And does that endow them with some sort of special kind of spirit or soul unique to their vocation?
You're talking way beyond my ken. Yeah,
Right.
I'm not some Jewish, like, I have not studied this stuff. I probably know a lot more about it than most people, and I've particularly studied certain parts of it, especially now that I'm getting involved in all kinds of weird things with all sorts of Gentiles. So like the difference between Jewish souls and Gentile souls has become a big, like, I've started studying it in all kinds of texts, because like people ask me these questions and I'm like, but well, okay, so this is a big disagreement I have with Yosef. Yosef doesn't believe that there is a qualitative difference between Jewish souls and Gentile souls, and I think he's an absolute heretic.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. 1 second. I will be right back with you in terms of my attention.
So, Jess, the simple answer is if you did not have a soul, you would not exist. If you exist, you have a soul. And yes, I am saying like inanimate objects have a version of a soul in Jewish terms. And that's
Aristotle said the same thing. There's a soul in the rock, and the rock has a soul that wants it to be at the bottom of the ocean, right? And there's a soul in the smoke coming out of your fire that wants to be at the top of the atmosphere, and etc. Everything has a soul that has a final end, right? That moves it in the direction that is suited to its purpose and its form. Aristotle said all the same things.
Didn't what's her face, the lady that does the meaning code, she interviews a guy who has some sort of theory around that. I don't know.
So Karen, and I hope she's doing well. She had surgery recently. So Karen interviews all kinds of people, and she's very, very open. Mm-hmm. And while I love her and she does a great job, like, I wish there was more quality control there.
Why? Well, she interviews a guy who has some theory that's similar to what you're saying, and I don't see how it could be like what he's saying is any more absurd than what you're saying.
I mean, I say a lot of things that lots of people think are absurd. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know. That's what. But all I'm saying is, like, the quality control thing is, I think, in some sense, is very subjective. Because.
I mean, I get that complaint sometimes, and I feel like I have all of my guests on for a reason. But
no, I mean you. So Karen is very, very open with her thing.
I should say it's also weird. I have never directly interacted with Karen. I love Karen's channel. I have enjoyed a lot of her content. I think she is a very valuable and interesting contributor to this little corner. And I've interacted with almost every other person in this corner. I've never directly interacted with Sevilla, I guess. And I swear I'm not sexist, but I've never really had any interaction with Karen, and I would appreciate. I'm not sure, what we would talk about, but I've never messaged her. Maybe we've interacted in a comment section or something, but we've never talked.
I had her on, and unfortunately, we had lots of technical problems, partially because she was on a Mac and it was her first time on StreamYard. And I would love to have her on again. I think she does, her interviews are very important in a way that is undervalued, which is she's very good at interviewing people, asking questions, and bringing out what they have to say. And so it bothers me when people will say of somebody, oh, well, that person just has, good guests on and they're not worthy of being listened to. And it's like, no, being able to interview, like ultimately Joe Rogan, I don't care what Joe Rogan thinks, right? It's not like I agree with him, right? I like when people go on Joe Rogan, people that I'm interested in, or people who know a lot about an important topic. I know that Joe Rogan is going to make for an interesting discussion of who that person is and what that person is saying. And so I want to attend to that. And to dismiss Joe Rogan personally, because I only listen to those interviews he does with people I want to hear from. But the people I want to hear from, I want to hear them speaking to Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm. Because Joe Rogan can bring something out of them that other people can't.
Yeah.
Well, and Karen is very similar.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy the. It's like there's at least like on the thread of having kind of like the subject of quality or whatever. I think I really love we're like swimming in a stew of contrast in all these different conversations that have been cropping up recently, as far as like the randos participating in the on the ground discussion. I just love it. I think it's great. How much if we had to sift through all the material and toss out what's not important, I'm not sure how much that would be,
So this is possibly the new Randos United channel, which it's not obvious what we're going to do, but right now I'm streaming to it. And maybe we'll stream to the old Randos United channel. Maybe we'll stream to this channel. Maybe we'll have a new channel and we'll name it something different. But in any case, my hope is to eventually have a channel that's different from mine, separate from mine, that ultimately, like, I am not in any way like responsible for, that we can all be on. And we whether we're going to call it Randos United or TLC or whatever, what's more important to me is getting together the organization, which I am working on in the background.
So important question, what do you think of TLC versus Tilkati?
TLC.
I hate it.
What is Tilcati?
This little corner of the internet turned
Yeah.
into an acronym and pronounced Tilcati. It rhymes with Bugatti. This is
Okay. The thing is, TLC has a meaning that's actually good. Tender
loving care. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the channel, right? TLC.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's the learning channel, right? So like,
it got. I especially don't like the acronym, which is very ironic. I don't like acronyms in general, which is weird because I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. But there's something about the acronym that acronyms in general that really, there's something off about them. They really bother me. I noticed it way back, probably in 2009 or 10 or whatever, when the television commercials started announcing in the car commercials MPG. And I was just kind of upset about that because I'm like, why wouldn't you just say miles per gallon? It can't be that much. It can't cost that much more in a television commercial to say miles per gallon. Instead, you have to say MPG. And so it started really annoying me. And then all of a sudden, acronyms made their way into everything. And now they've actually, in a lot of ways, hijacked our communication and our speech. And it's, I think it's done something to the quality of our relation with each other, and it really bothers me. The other thing is this little corner was cool to say or to hear until everybody was doing it. And I don't know if you remember back in the day when Metallica was like nobody, and there were so many people that really loved them.
I was not yet alive. Sorry, Chad.
Yeah. So then what happened was once everybody knew about Metallica, and like now your little sister loves Metallica, it did something. Metallica blew up huge, but they were never the same. And there's something about it that makes my skin crawl a little bit when we say this little corner.
what bothers me is Al-Anon is a different organization than Alcoholics Anonymous.
Why?
And that was like the most confusing thing ever.
Al-Anon, the sister program to Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yep.
Al-Anon. Well, the reason why is alcoholics have one primary purpose, which is to carry the message to the still suffering alcoholic. Period. Dolly, stop eating the carpet.
Kids are rough, man.
Dolly, leave it. Leave it. Al-Anon does their thing. They have a primary purpose, which is to, I don't even know what that is, than to help somebody who is suffering with the ills of being a family member or a close friend to an alcoholic. So it just helped us to try to adhere to a primary purpose without bending that. And so I think it's good. The idea of shoemaker stick to thy, whatever that saying.
No, I think it's fine. I just wish they would name it something different because like my professor in one of my classes kept on talking about Al-Anon as different from AA. And I didn't know if he was talking about the same thing or he was talking about something different until one of my textbooks starts telling is like, no, this is this and this is that. And it's like, well, I wish I knew that a long time ago before everybody was confusing me.
Yeah, that's what I think they started putting in their family groups, Al-Anon or other family groups. So, but then there's the Alano, or as other people like to call it, the Alano, which are clubs that AAs, that drunks meet in. Anyways, Dolly, leave it.
And that's different from the Alamo?
That's correct.
And A-Anon is different from QAnon, right?
That's right. Okay. And we already have a whole bunch of A's while you're all waiting for Q. Anyways, so it's really good to see you, Jacob.
It's good to see you. How are you doing, Chad?
I think I'm doing well. Today was a very interesting day in this overall conversation.
What was interesting?
Well, Grail Country had their live stream, and then Grez had a cool show. Paul's show was pretty good, but I don't know. There's this the Grail Country conversation today was pretty damn good.
What,
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it.
what were
Yeah.
y'all talking about?
It was a just chatting stream for Grail Country.
Yeah, Sherry was on there. Tyler was on there. Abigail, who showed up to my Bible study last night, but like left early, and I don't know if I said something which offended her.
Probably. You should apologize to her.
Well, I don't know if I offended her.
Vanderclay was on there. Lance.
Oh, I didn't see him. Okay.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, he's been trying to pop in to various just chatting streams. I mean, I like the fact that people that it's caught on this StreamYard. Although I was absolutely right. Once you ask for that 16th seat on StreamYard, they ask you for an arm and a leg. They wanted $4,000 a year for the next stream for the next seat. It's like,
Well,
yeah, not gonna happen.
I noticed it's really weird. You're so far ahead of the curve. I've noticed a lot of channels, even that aren't in our conversation.
Mm.
A lot of channels are using the StreamYard.
Oh no, I stole it from other people. I stole it from the Muslims.
Yeah.
The Dawa streams, like this format is being used by
I first noticed it in Muslim YouTube land first.
Yeah, and I've mentioned Penguin. Penguin has been doing similar stuff for a couple of years now.
Is Pangburn still around?
He's still around, yeah.
I thought that he got shamed into, wherever shamed people go by his financial failures.
So where he goes is very low YouTube numbers. I actually did some work on his Discord for a while, so I kept in touch with him and stuff like that. And then I sort of walked away once I went to college. But yeah, he's still around. You can join his Discord server and talk to him.
I do think that an opportunity for this little corner or estuary or something is to be sort of the large event host thing that Pangburn failed to be. Because I do actually think that was a decently good idea, and it had legs. It just had seemingly incompetent or financially corrupt or both leadership. And if that problem could be solved, hosting big names for interesting talks in different locations and selling tickets for it, I do feel like is a decently good idea. Jacob and I were talking before the camera's on about my ineptitude in general event planning. And so I don't think that that's my calling, but I would support someone whose calling it was. I feel like that's actually
I actually spent years doing events.
Oh.
Well, make it happen. You and Cassidy or somebody.
Well,
I was trying to put the program for you, but I still have to do that. It's just I'm so spread out right now. But I would like to get to know what your like the place that you're talking about that you wanted to do next year, the monk spot.
Yeah.
And things like that. And then what you need to do is pull the trigger on putting together a committee of people who are genuinely interested in putting the work and putting one foot in front of the other, and not worry too much about what it's exactly going to look like.
Right.
Yes.
So the Chicago event last year was, I feel like, low budget, minimum effort for maximum impact, right? Sort of style. And Jacob and Chad, you guys were both there. Wherever you guys are, right? I don't know how that ends up on YouTube. And And I thought it was good. It was great. I got to meet a lot of you and stuff like that. Audio could have been better. I take full responsibility for that. But if I don't, I blame Tyler.
Yeah, it's
And
Tyler's fault.
other than that, it happened, but it didn't do anything more than just happen, right? And so I have a dream for those sorts of events, but I just my wife will be the first to tell you I'm just not very good at organization. I'm not very good at detail-oriented planning. I'm good at high-level vision and stuff like that.
If
And
it's
so-
not going to be a one-shot event, it needs to actually have a structure behind it, and that structure is something that needs to be built.
And it needs to be more than just Sam emailing a bunch of people.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. It's not a structure most people are actually going to ever see or know about.
Right.
Well, so
I mean, it needs to be good at handling the money. Go ahead, Richard.
yeah, I was talking with the CRC Voices people about Turning Point USA. If you guys know that organization,
Is that Charlie Kirk's thing?
that is Charlie Cook's thing. Yeah. I was actually pondering how similar the structure was to Estuary, because basically how it works is you have a bunch of local chapters. Anyone can make an application to start a local chapter, and they send you a box with a bunch of merchandise and things like that to promote it, and you're responsible to hold regular meetings. And then once you get enough local chapters in, let's say, within a state, those local chapters will come together every 2 months, every how often, and they can attract bigger people.
The thing is, Richard, the thing is that assumes a they, which is sending you the box.
Right.
But
And also, I assume that there are some big check writers behind
This is
that
true.
because it's politics and that sort of
that's
thing.
true. So, part of this is what are the differences between pre-existing structures and a structure that will work for us? Because I'm not saying that let's just take that model and use it, but it's how can we compare and contrast?
Look, reinventing the wheel is a very, very bad idea, and which is why, I have studied various structures like this. I used to study this stuff full time,
Mhm.
and I am trying very hard behind the scenes to make some sort of structure which can, in fact, support the types of things you're talking about. And I want to make an architecture allusion, but I don't know enough about architecture to make a good allusion. But a good structure is something that is absolutely invisible and nobody notices, right? And once you have it set up, people will not notice it and will not even recognize that it's there, but it will perform a lot of functions that are necessary. And setting that up is not easy. It has a bunch of requirements, one of which is being willing and able to accept donations of large amounts of money and small amounts of money from large amounts of people, and spending that money correctly, right? And
being a trustworthy thing that people will do that for. Yeah.
Say that again?
Being trustworthy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
With money. Chad's shaking his head at the money thing. I mean, the Chicago event was minimal upfront investment, right? Because I didn't want to be asking the Chicago area people for that much money. It was small enough that I could financially front the whole thing, right? And then I got paid back. Right. And, I have a budget to do those sorts of things, but it's not too big. And we'll put Chris in charge of the money. Excellent. But anyway, go ahead, Chad. I think you wanted to say something.
Well, I just think it should be self-supported. Firstly, it should never have any kind of like outside sponsors or anything. Any outside entity should never be giving money to whatever. If something ever emerges out of these conversations, should never be anything other than self-supported through whoever,
through either ticket sales or voluntary donations,
or your own contributions. Not donations. There's a big difference. So contributions by players who only choose to really be in the game, right? And not like I don't know. I feel really strongly about that because if for some freak reason, whatever TLC is, grows into some horrid monstrosity, you're gonna want it to be self-supporting. You don't want any outside influences to be tugging on the strings of power. So I think that's one of the most important things. So
If it's set up well, that isn't a problem because nobody will give you money because it is set up in such a way that their money is not capable of influencing you. But if you want an explicit rule, that's not a problem. Like that's something we can have. But I'll tell you, the type of money that comes in looking to influence things realizes the difference between something that is easy to influence and something that's really, really difficult to influence. And they have better things to do with their money.
Jeff?
Right.
Are we trying to put on punk rock shows?
Yes.
We could.
I mean, that's the analogy that comes to mind is that we're trying to put on punk rock shows in small venues wherever we can because we love to play together, music together, whatever.
And it helps create a career and industry for punk rockers.
Right. And then basically, Jacob, you're trying to put together some sort of management structure in order to just organize the bands.
Think of it like a concert promoter. Think of it like the concert promoter who like rents the venue, right?
Yeah. What was the part that you put in, Sam, about building the careers?
Well, just as a well-structured concert circuit that punk rockers can trust upon, it inspires more people to become punk rockers because that's a viable profession.
Got it.
And you might not make it big, but you could at least do it, right? And so if we have a circuit of like speaking, and Paul has mentioned this, right? Like that there would be some sort of estuary circuit, and that speakers like Vervaeke or whoever could go through and they could get a reasonable amount of money from each of their speaking. They're not going to get rich quick, but it makes it worth their while to invest their time doing that.
They could tour for 4 to 8 weeks or something and do stuff.
Yeah, and it would be financially worth their time. Again,
right.
No get rich quick scheme, but
make
moderate income through moderate amount of work scheme.
Yeah, bring a book along, sell some merch. Yeah. Like it's totally the punk rock that we're trying to put on punk rock shows.
Absolutely. Yeah. Basement shows, man. And somebody makes the flyers and somebody makes the and somebody, works the door and so everybody
we don't even like have you ever been to the house shows?
Yeah.
Like you literally go into someone's house, they clear out the living room and the dining room, they put in chairs, you have like a small PA system, you sell 40 tickets, and then it's an acoustic show. Like there's all these.
I have to tell you, yes, this stuff, when it's managed right, people think that there's nothing going on behind the scenes, and that's what a good managed event will always look like. And if you think that it's that simple, go
No,
ahead.
I'm not
and put
saying
one of
it's
those-
simple. I was in that illustration. I was not trying to say it was simple. I'm trying to like, we don't have to have big venues. We can use people's homes. Like we can.
All right. I have a slightly bigger dream
Right.
than someone's home. So here's
Speaking
my
of
punk
small
rock
venues.
basement.
Well,
Right.
can I say something? This is a beautiful venue. Firstly, we already have the most difficult thing, the most difficult aspect of an entire enterprise, like what you're talking about with the punk rock scene, and that is to have a network of people to actually do that.
Yeah.
So we have a network of people that is all over the place. That's the easiest. That's the most difficult part of the whole thing. So we have that built right into what we already seem to have here. It's just a matter of trying to figure out how to communicate better. And that's why I think, like, when I talk to Jacob, I'm like, Jacob, what is it that you want to see? You can't go to the barber and say, cut my hair, and then get pissed off at him because he gave you a haircut and you didn't specify what you wanted.
Okay, and my response to that is, first, I need there to be a barber.
Yep.
And frankly, I am precisely the type of person who actually goes to the barber and says, cut my hair, I don't care. And I've done that.
Well, Jacob, you don't have any hair. So bad example. All right.
There's a reason why I now do that. Because I used to go to the barber and say, just cut my hair, whatever you think looks good. And like, yes, many barbers would be like, and I'm like, I'm not going to complain. Trust me.
All right. So I have a dream. People, I have a dream. All right. So
Sam has a dream.
there's this mostly abandoned monastery that is for the Brothers of the Divine Word, which is also the Brothers of the Logos, which is awesome. All right. So it's this Catholic monk, whatever you might call it. Eric will tell me what the right word is for these sorts of things. Right. And they're sort of dying out, unfortunately. But they used to be missionaries in poor countries and stuff like that. And this is sort of like their retirement home, basically, for former missionaries that were part of this thing. And so they have hundreds of rooms still at this location. And they have a beautiful chapel, right? Like, really cool stuff. And they have multiple rooms. And as you can see, they also have a large grounds, right? All of this property is theirs. And you might be like, oh, surely this is in the woods in the middle of nowhere. But actually, it is in suburban Chicago, right? And here's O'Hare Airport, right?
Wow.
It's like 15, 20 minutes from O'Hare. And it might be, I'm not going to say where I live, but it could be possibly very close or possibly not internet. And so I would love to, and I know some people who have connections to this place. It's also a great place. Sometimes you need to get a child a passport and you need to go to a post office. So it's great to go to a tiny post office. They have their own zip code and their own post office. So if you need passports for your children, but anyway, that's a separate question. So I think that this is like my dream meaning crisis event is to rent out this monastery. Right. You can stay on campus, or if you don't, there's like, hotels here. Like this is actually Crate and Barrel's headquarters is right across the street from this monastery. So there are hotels nearby if you don't.
You have spent way too much time
I'm casting a
window
vision.
shopping at this monastery.
Jacob, I may have grown up very close to it. I might not have, but like I might have been able to see it like from my windows growing up, during the wintertime when they were leaves or not. I don't know. But so my dream would be to have an event here because I think it would be what screams meaning crisis better than an abandoned monastery.
Well,
right?
I have an idea. You should first
hold it.
recruit. You should first recruit that executive director I'm trying to find, and then make sure that board of directors that I'm trying to recruit actually happens, and then we can talk.
Well,
Okay.
and then so here's another venue. I need to talk to Michael Satori because apparently he is emailing with Sean McDowell. who teaches
Oh
here.
yeah, I know who Sean McDowell is. He
Uh,
has a big YouTube channel.
Yeah, so he was on Justin Brierly last week, and I watched him, and said, "Oh yeah, it's a pretty big guy," and like I could probably get office hours with him and tell him, "Hey, could we organize something on this university campus called Biola?" And it's like, there's another venue, so yeah.
Biola works. Yeah. No, so the Chino thing,
Yeah.
I am not a I don't think Chino is a good idea for many reasons. One of which being that it's so far away from Los Angeles that
Yeah.
like it's not even feasible to like fly into LAX and drive. Like,
Mhm.
and so they're trying to do something in Chino in March, and I've been trying to convince John Van Donk. I don't know where they are with that, but I suggested USC because I have connections with USC, and also I am also in talks with BYU. So
Mm.
go ahead.
Sam, you should set up a meeting with those people. Give me the date and I'll make it there with you.
All right. But so I mean to plan the sort of event that would be fitting for that venue, I don't think we could do it in 2023.
That's
it might
fine.
need a little bit more planning, but that's something that I want to work up towards.
Yes.
Where, it's like a couple hundred people, you stay there for like a long weekend or something like that. And it has the sort of headline speakers that draw the crowd, and then like mid-tier speakers for workshops and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
all that.
So what you do is we say this is a location for a 2024 event, and then we start pulling the trigger now, which means we get in touch with those folks. We see if we could even make it some sort of a possibility. If you want, listen, I can cut hair. You know what I'm saying?
So
Father
here's what
Eric
go ahead.
Father Eric is actually offering the resources of the Archdiocese of Fargo, right, Father? But that's why not Fargo. And yes, you are invited, Luke. And yes, go ahead.
So from this monastery's website, Technic Towers Conference and Retreat Center remains closed because of the pandemic. What pandemic? Owned by the Society of the Divine Word, the Retreat Center was built by the missionary brothers and priests as a technical school and seminary. For now, the building will remain closed as the Society of the Divine Word carefully makes decisions about the future of the property. Not only has the building been an important part of the religious congregation's history, but also that of the surrounding suburbs. I love the surrounding suburbs, but so they're on the verge of kind of financial, needing to do something else. So if we can prove to them that means that they're selling. Eric is right. But how do you sell a monastery? Who do you sell a monastery to?
To
Right.
Crate and Barrel.
Crate and Barrel. Yeah.
Can you send me?
Demolish it.
Can you send me a link to that website, Sam? I'd really appreciate that.
Sure, I'll put it in the private chat.
Yeah, because I wanna see this place.
You've been silent, Jess.
Silent.
Yes, you are.
I just keep thinking about punk rock shows, and if there's a way that we could put on, I don't know if it's possible. Could we do a smaller event with like us?
Yeah,
Okay,
without
we
having
need
to
to
get a band
understand.
or play.
Jess, punk rock shows are meant to look punk. And in looking punk, they are very, very careful to not show you all the organization that goes behind it, which is fine, which is what I intend to do. But
but
you guys are looking at like a wall.
What Jess is saying, before we put the Ramones in Madison Square Garden, we need to have some local concerts,
some home
and
shows,
yeah,
where we do our thing together.
That are very well organized.
Yes.
I mean, is that even a possibility?
Look, even those home shows have somebody who is coordinating the band.
No, Jacob,
I
I
don't know what
I
the
know
band
all
is.
that. I'm just trying to think in terms of like a smaller scale rather than
Yeah.
let's get you know Vanderklay, Peugeot, and Peterson together at a giant monastery,
Yeah,
which would
no.
be awesome. Which we
Yes,
should
which
do.
is why I'm talking on universities because university campuses we can get for free.
Really?
Yes.
Free?
Yes, you can get university campuses for free.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
good thing about universities.
The problem with going to
Yeah.
university is you're stepping into a viper's nest.
Depends on the university and
Right.
depends how you do it.
Right. If you didn't like Germany, just wait until we're
Depends on the university, depends
Not,
how you
not,
do it.
not at Biola. I don't think you get that at Biola.
Yeah,
Well, but at Biola, you could get Fred Sanders being like, "Hey, I know that heretic." Right? We're not letting him anywhere near campus.
But Sam, I can talk to Fred Sanders.
I've talked to Fred Sanders too. It didn't go so well. Right. That's what I'm saying. If we go to a liberal campus, we know who will come after us. But if we go to a conservative campus, we could have the opposite wing attacking us from the.
Can we?
guys, all of these campuses have campus ministries which have regular meetings, and our meetings are not going to be any more controversial than any of theirs.
Right, but did you hear what Jordan B. Cooper said about Cornell yesterday?
Yes.
Is that they did
They have-
showings of who's a woman or was a woman, right? But they had to do it in secret on Cornell's campus.
Yeah.
Could-
And so this can be our house meetings. Yes, we can do house meetings at universities. Certainly at community colleges type stuff, small universities. Okay, guys, yeah, I think we're worried about the wrong thing. I am more worried about if Eamon Wilson refuses, which he may, who is actually going to be the executive director of this thing. And like nobody else seems to actually care that this is important.
Yeah.
But you say this, and that's the problem. It's like I don't know what you're talking about. That's what I'm
I
saying.
don't know what an executive director does.
An executive director does all of the things that Paul refused to do, which is actually guide and say, no, we're not having it at a monastery in Chicago. We're having it at Biola in Los Angeles, or we're having it at Jess's house, or we're having it at Father Eric's
Wisconsin.
in Fargo, Wisconsin. Like that's what an executive director does, and you have to have somebody who ultimately, finally announces, yes, this is what we're doing.
Right. Well, and I did that for the Chicago event. It's just it was tiring, and I'm not sure if I'm very good at it. Right.
And you weren't actually doing it because ultimately it was
it
Paul
happened.
Vanderklay. Paul Vanderklay was, I will come to Sam's event, and Paul was the executive director there.
I think you're cutting me a little bit short, but I also had a lot of help.
You didn't
from
see all the
others.
work that Sam did because it was behind the scenes.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, I am willing to do all the work. I am willing to do the work. I just need an executive director.
So then why aren't you the executive?
Yeah,
Because I can't be, because I am not a Protestant.
Why do you have to be a Protestant?
Because you have to be somebody that a majority of the people in our community feel like this is somebody I could follow.
Okay, so we get Jeff to do it.
Jeff
has plenty of
Jeff would be fine if he had the time. Yes, Jeff would be fine.
Listen,
I don't care who it is. I really don't care who it is.
all you have to
So you want a Protestant front on this? I'm just kidding.
Yes,
do is
You want to
yes, that is precisely what I want. Yes.
Guys, couldn't get chat.
I'm just telling you, it's really simple. You guys are complicating this way too much. Like, yes, you are. Have you ever been in a music scene where you had to actually try to gather people together and put together shows? No.
No.
I have.
Okay.
So it's really simple. It's really, really simple.
print some flyers.
The hardest part is networking. And so we have a network. We just don't know what
To do.
nobody knows what to do. So the basic thing is, if you set up a very simple thing like, okay, anybody who truly, really wants to be a part of making something grow and be a part of that and make something grow together, we should set up a time and a place to do that. We could do this on a Discord or something like this. Figure out something very simple. I like what Jess said. He said something about basement shows. Now, it doesn't mean we have to do basement shows, but are you interested in having something like some small event in your town or something like that? Because now we can start putting all of our minds together, say, how can we kind of replicate something pretty basic and simple to put together decent events that are easy to pull off as long as we're working together as a network. And then the more we do it, the better we get at it. Because when we were in a music scene, we didn't have, nobody would pay our band to come to play, right? Because we're a metal band and they want classic rock in the bar, right? So nobody wanted to pay us. So we said, we'll just create our own venue. So we went to the VFWs, we rented the hall, we rented our own lights, our own sound. We went around the network with the best possible bands that we could find that were in the genre. We asked them to come play our shows, and they did. And we would get hundreds of people coming to our shows and really enjoying the shows. And the people that came felt like they were a part of it, right? That's how you build a scene. And there was nobody who was like the executive, but you have some voices.
No, there was somebody who was the executive,
You
Chad.
have some voices that are willing to speak up and people will follow them because they're like, okay, you got some good ideas, right? But
When you needed to spend some money, where did it come from?
it came from all the bands.
Okay, who gathered the money from all the bands?
Well, our drummer was the guy who would do that.
Okay, so
Right.
you had an executive director, that was your drummer.
Yeah, but he's not an official executive director. What's your ass? That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but you were in one city and you knew each other.
Hang on a minute.
Chad, what you're saying will not work.
Why? I just made the call.
Okay, so make it work. Chad, make it work. Make it work. Make it happen. Why are you arguing with me?
Because you will not specify what you're looking for.
I can't be your executive director.
Well, I don't even know what that is. You won't specify what you're looking for. So I just told everybody out there who's listening, which is probably nobody, but if you're listening,
There are 17 people. All of them are Luke Thompson, though.
if you want to do something, hit me up. We'll put something together so we can stop BSing about all this crap and we get along with some better conversations. And then we can actually start putting together some action so we can go out in the world and enjoy ourselves with each other.
So do it.
That's what I'm saying.
Chad likes doing things, but
Whoa, Chad's out.
So I mean, what sort of
It's got a
event?
phone
All right,
Oh.
so what sort of events could we pull off? One thing that I've been trying to get going in Chicago for next year, but we haven't really gotten traction yet, is figuring out, okay, so maybe like one or two people that are of interest to people from this little corner are going to be in town. Maybe we could rent a church or a theater and sell cheap tickets for one night to have, I don't know, Glenn Lowry's in town. And so whatever we're having at this little corner talks to Glenn Lowry event, right? And we, try and do some kind of small footprint sort of thing that way. Yes, someone will be in charge. Yes, the money will come from somewhere and go to somewhere, right? But like that, I feel like that's the sort of stage where we're at, where we need to start doing, more of those sorts of things. And that's like what Jess was saying. We need to get good at having punk rock concerts in someone's basement. Jacob's right that clarity and structure and organization is helpful, right? And that there's always going to be an implicit structure, even if there isn't an explicit one, and explicit ones work better than non-explicit ones most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like we're not that far away from what each other want and what we're saying.
No, and I don't want, like, because one thing about the punk rock scene and kind of like the small touring band scene is like everyone gets burnt out, no one makes any money, and bands fall apart. And so we don't necessarily want that, because there's like you sort of get used and abused on a touring circuit, and we want to try to make it more than just yeah, we don't want it to end up like that, of course. But there's like people have to invest energy into it, and it's especially when we're dealing with basically zero to no budget, you ticket sales or whatever. We have small budgets that we could figure out, but you have a lot of people investing a lot of energy into stuff, and as soon as they feel like it's just too much, then we'll lose them, which is maybe just the way it'll be. It'll be that way, but I don't know. Those are just things I'm thinking of. Of course, I'm thinking of all the problems before we've started doing anything. So,
well, we haven't not started to do things. We have had events, right? So,
yeah, I wonder if we could. The problem is we're just spread throughout the country and the world, so it's harder to get together, other than just online stuff. But is there online stuff we can do that's more produced, that's less?
There's live Q&As, right? Which is something kind of close, where you can have the opportunity to send a question and then, get the person speaking to answer it. But
you need somebody like Joey to prune the questions, even though people don't like that and don't realize it's happening. But
you need a host. That's what I mean. We have someone that hosts it. We have an online thing. We have like an animated intro with like a title that comes up before it starts. We have like maybe a lower third that comes on of the 2 or 3 people that are like the main people. And then we have like a forum with, instead of being Paul Vanderklay, it's Sam and Luke and Chad. But we just make it look good, and we make it look legit, because I think you guys are legit.
Right. And we can have a shared brand kind of thing. That's sort of like Richard was saying for that America, for whatever the Charlie Kirk thing is, right? Where people can kind of, there's a way to bottom up the thing, right? And have, emergence and emanation at the same time, right?
Right.
Without there needing to be too much overhead.
Right. And then we make a t-shirt design, and we have a link in the description for the t-shirt for Sam Talks to Luke. and like there's t-shirt companies, like you don't make any money off of it, but you could have you could design a t-shirt and then have Luke and Sam's face on it, and if it sells 10, they print 10 and ship them. Just stuff like that. Like, I'm trying to think of all the ways to like legitimize yourself in sort of step up what we're doing, rather than waiting for, trying to plan something and hope Pajot comes.
Yeah, because I feel like the spirit of TFC is very ill-defined in terms of tangibility. So what is it? It's diverse, it's estuary, but these are like containers, right? You need to fill them with something, and t-shirts with faces on them.
I mean, the thing would be just to have, just at first, just do what's fun.
Right. That is filling the container somehow with something recognizable.
Jacob's like
herding cats. No, really, it's 100% like herding.
It's exactly how the record label feels when they're dealing with punk rock bands.
And I'm looking for a laser pointer, and I can't find my laser pointer. Somebody find me a laser pointer.
If you fire the laser on the wall, I'm sure all the cats will start pawing at it.
Yes, they will. No, that's the thing. I know, like, if Eamon will actually do the stuff I demand he do, then like this is all going to come together, and everybody's going to know what a genius I am. But if he doesn't, and I can't find somebody else to fill his role, I have no idea how the world will know what an incredible genius I am.
Well, I already know you're a genius, Jacob. So you already have that. Look, all right. So here's what we got to do. Okay, we have this corner of the internet, right? Where's the? All right. Here's the motto, Jacob. Let's turn the corner. We're gonna turn the corner.
Turn the corner of the internet.
That's our mantra. Turn the corner.
Turn the corner. Okay.
So you can stand on the peak of Mount Corner of the internet. Successful and
TLC.
proven right.
Yeah.
Turn the corner, USA.
Happy wants me to go take her for a walk. I'll be back. You guys have fun.
So Sam, I'm curious to dive into how you see Biola a bit more and how that goes. Do you really think like an X-ray thing gets shut down because of a Fred Sanders or someone at Talbot or something like that?
Maybe. I could imagine the theological gatekeepers at Biola being uncomfortable if there is too many non-Christian approved speakers or something like that.
Or maybe not enough.
Or like it's like this has been noted before. If like the main speaker is a Christian that they approve of, and then the opponent is someone completely outside the Christian camp, right? That's fine. That's apologetics or something like that. That's outreach. That's ministry. But when you have people that blur the boundary between heretical and Orthodox Christian and Jew and that sort of thing, I could worry that a place like Biola would not like that.
Yeah, I could see that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how they take Peugeot.
Right.
There is a history there between Biola and Orthodox. Do you know that history?
I don't know that. What's that history?
So the honors college, Torrey Honors College, was actually founded by. So he was a Protestant, but like only a year after he founded it, he converted to Orthodoxy. And this is back in like the 90s or whatever. And so he brought on a couple other professors that were also Orthodox. For a while, there was an art professor who was Orthodox. And then around the early 2000s, Talbot got skeptical and put together a board to investigate their beliefs. And ultimately, the board said they were okay, but all of the Orthodox professors slowly left because the tensions were too high. So there is a weird history there. But
Yeah, I believe it.
So
yeah, if you Google Biola and Orthodoxy, there's a Los Angeles Times article that comes up.
So, yeah, I had to take a phone call from my wife, so I wasn't able to. I know it looked like I stormed off, but I didn't.
We thought you were mad.
No, not at all. What I do want to say is if people want to put together something looking like a coalition of people or a cooperation of people who are interested in actually putting together some on the ground events, let's get together somewhere. We can meet on Discord, or if you're on the Discord server, email me or something, we could just start rolling the ball and see what happens. It doesn't have to be complicated.
But we don't have an executive director first, Chad.
Jess, I will swear to you.
I don't know what you're gonna do until we get our executive director.
No event in history has ever happened without one.
Well, have you ever heard
Sorry,
of
Jacob.
like the nameless God or whatever? Is that in the Bible? So is there like something like that? The Greeks had a god that was without a name or something?
The unknown God.
Yeah, the unknown God. So we'll have
The unknown executive director.
That's right.
No, that's good. And he can be Protestant.
Well, so here's the interesting. I don't know why this made me think of it, but if you get Paul and Jordan B. Cooper together, like that's a pretty solid foundation of Orthodox Protestant people, right?
Yeah,
Maybe that's a solid enough counterbalance to whoever else is brought. I don't know.
I think getting the speakers aren't going to be the hardest part. The hardest part is going to be organizing people who are willing to put in the time to speak about where to go from here, and then from there you just start putting out the requests, and they either say yes or they say no. So the hard thing right now is trying to figure out, do people want to get together on the ground and do some events? If so, who is interested in that? And we should get together and start talking. It's very simple. Now my wife is home, and I want to spend some time with her. So see you guys.
See ya. So, Richard, the YouTube video that got taken down by Biola, there was a debate, right, about whether the Exodus happened in like the 16th century or the 12th century BC or something like that. And one of the guys got just like trounced or shown to be amateurish, and I think that was the Biola supported side or something like that. And so then that video was then later taken down. Like,
Oh dear.
yeah, it's just like whoever's making those decisions doesn't know how the internet works, right?
Yeah, that's too bad.
Mm-hmm.
It really is too bad. Huh. Yeah, I'll have to look at that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta get going, guys. But
Maybe it's time to bring this to a wrap.
Yes, I think so.
Goodbye, world.
Goodbye, YouTube.